This is how to improve your diet. Hi, if you're new here, my name's Tom, and I'm here to make you the best version of yourself. Every time I go to uni, which is in the city, I have to get the train. And every time I get on there, I look around, and everyone just looks so unhealthy. Double chins, they got dark circles under their eyes, they look miserable, low energy, lethargic. I'm just looking around and I'm realizing I don't want to end up like this. And I truly believe that a lot of these effects that we see are based on the diet that most people are consuming. I think that society has had a big impact on people's nutrition and the way they see food. There is such a incredible access to food everywhere. 7-Eleven, airports, grocery stores. There's so many different options, and about 80% of them are not even food. They're lab generated, processed things, which are not what humans are meant to eat. Like biscuits or something with all these different flavors. That can't be good for you. There's such a massive access to processed sugars, carbohydrates, ultra processed foods. McDonald's is at every drive through you can see in every suburb. Like the access is incredible. And people are just constantly consuming all this terrible food for you. And I'm not saying you can't every now and then have a burger. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying to have a bad relationship with food. I'm just saying we should be more aware of the foods that we're consuming. Because for a lot of people, they are addicted to food. Like my dad, he's currently on a keto diet, which is low carbohydrates. And he's craving cinnamon scrolls, donuts, all these things. Because he's addicted to the sugar. He's addicted to that food. And I think that's a really big problem with society. We're not eating food for fuel, but enjoyment. And I think that's fine from time to time. Like, I'm not saying I just eat rocks because it's nutritious. I do also like to enjoy my food, but there's an emphasis and priority on the fuel and the nutrients of the food. For many years, I've been tracking my food and my calories through MyFitnessPal. I've been going to the gym, trying to build muscle, so I was trying to be in a calorie surplus. Therefore, you have an excess on the amount of energy you have each day. Therefore, you gain weight and gain muscle. I would be tracking my food every day, but I realized this just ended up with me coping. I'll be eating unhealthy foods purely because it fit my macros and it fit with my calorie goals, despite not looking at the 100 grams of sugar that I was consuming every day. It was just an excuse to go for a worse quality of food. I would opt for the popcorn instead of the nuts, or the shapes instead of the eggs. I don't know. I would actively be going for the more unhealthy foods because they had more calories. And calories was good because I would reach my goal. I would increase my body weight, so I'm getting stronger. But that's just not a good relationship to have with food. And the effects that it had on my body were even worse. You may be familiar with the term carb crash, which is where after you eat food, you have a spike in energy and then you quickly deviate and become really lethargic and tired. For me, this had a big effect, and I would end up napping throughout the day. Therefore, I didn't get sufficient sleep at night and sufficient sleep quality. So it was affecting my sleep and my energy for the next day. It would constantly give me, especially when consuming carbohydrates, I would get brain fog, which is basically where it's in the name. When I was working, I wouldn't be able to access like all of my brain in a way. I wouldn't be able to focus really hard at the task at hand. And this would affect my work, university work, all these different things. So it would impact my productivity as well. My work output being a detriment from consuming all these carbs. I'm not saying carbs are the devil, but for me, I would get really bad brain fog and cognitive decline, basically. For me, it wasn't worth it, and I'd much rather have stable energy because that's what happens when you don't have carbs. When you're running on fats and protein, your energy is like sustained. It's steady throughout the day. There's no big drops in energy at all. And for me, that was a much more sustainable and way better way to live my life. Currently, what I'm doing with nutrition is a keto slash no carb diet, but specifically, I'm eating what's called the carnivore diet, which is basically only eating meat and then eggs and bacon, things like that. Just purely animal-based products. I'm not going against the literature that eating a more balanced way is better for you. It may be, but right now I have felt the best eating like this, and that's purely what I'm going based off. So my diet will revolve around mincemeat, like beef, steaks, eggs, bacon, sometimes cheese, ghee, which is clarified butter, and then just normal butter. That's basically what I consume. And it's become such an easy diet for me. And I've been able to sustain it for about 3 weeks now. So I haven't had the longest experience with it, but right now I've been feeling great. And I do encourage you to try, maybe not forever, or just maybe you want to do a 2-week keto diet, which is low carb. So cutting out starchy carbs like rice, potatoes, pasta, all these things. And just consuming more meats, more leafy greens. And maybe that might affect how your brain feels when you're doing work. Because for me, I definitely saw that my brain fog was completely diminished. So I encourage you to try that. I'm not saying you have to, but if you want to, the option's there. Now, how do I feel after being on this diet? I'm the strongest I've ever been at the gym. I'm also the heaviest in terms of body weight, whilst also being lean. So I'm only putting on muscle with 0 fat, which has been pretty incredible and revolutionary, really. I've got less bloating and puffiness in my face because I'm holding less water weight. And another plus is the stable energy that you get all day. There's no drops, there's no roller coasters, it's just steady. And I find that to be really beneficial for me and my lifestyle. So I hope that was informative, bro. Hope you give this a try, and I'll see you in the next one. As always, if you have any further queries or advice that you want, just DM me either on Instagram or in the comments below.